Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Granite Paradise. I'm going to try something a little different today. I thought I would do, which is good in the winter since there isn't much else we can do. I thought I would do some show and tell here. At the end of the video, I'll do some close-up video clips and close-up shots of these rocks because I know you can't see them very well from there. But I want to tell you the story of these first. So those of you who know me, you know my wife and I used to live in Mexico. She's from Mexico. And in 1990, like 1992, 1993, we lived in León, Guanajuato. If any of you guys know Mexico, that's in the central part of the country. There's a lot of mining not too far from there, particularly in a city called Guanajuato. And we didn't have much money back then. To give you an idea, I was down there as a missionary, and I remember making an overhead projector. How many of you guys remember overhead projectors? With a magnifying glass, a page magnifier, a light bulb, and a cardboard box. That gives you an idea of how we were living. Very good time though. I managed to occasionally have a little extra cash, and I would get on the bus and go to Guanajuato, which was, I don't really remember, I think it was like an hour, maybe 2 hours away from León at that time. And I would see on the streets, they would sell, and they probably still do today, just piles. They would have piles of amethyst and quartz and calcite. But the people, I don't think they really knew how to take care of rocks or weren't able to, I'm not sure, but just imagine beautiful rocks like this, but just in a pile on the corner of the street, and a lady sitting there selling them. And so I bought a few like that, but they were all damaged, you know. And so I started asking around, is there a place I can go? Is there anyone here who sells like for museums and places like that? And eventually I found my way to a gentleman, can't remember his name, like I said, this is 30 years ago, 32, something like that, a long time ago. And he lived literally like from here to the far sculpture over there, from the entrance to one of the mines. He had his little house there, and in his drawers and under his bed he would pull out these amazing goodies. And I bought several pieces from him, and they really haven't seen much of the light of day since then. So we were living in León. Soon after, we moved to Apaseo El Alto, Guanajuato. And again, this attests to how, at least at that time, people didn't value rocks much. So in Apaseo is a little town, all dirt roads. I don't think there was a single street light, but it was pretty big. It was like 50,000 people. You know, it was a big town, but it was very poor. Now it's grown a lot. I looked at it from Google Earth or Google Satellite. It's a lot bigger city now. But anyway, so we had the rocks set up on a shelf. Not all of these, like these I've recently acquired, these two. These are actually from Tasco, Guerrero. But all of these here, and I'm missing a lot. A lot of them are still in Mexico, but no worries, I'll do another show and tell. I think you guys will like these, especially if you stick around to the end of the video and see them close up. Some of these are quite rare. But anyway, so we had them set on a shelf, and I had a pet tarantula at the time. Some thieves broke into our house. Those of you who have been there, you know the windows have bars on the windows, you have metal doors, you have deadbolts. Needless to say, these thieves cut through our metal door with a sawzall or something. I don't know how anybody didn't raise the alarm, but anyway, they entered our house. They literally turned everything upside down, took everything of value, but they didn't touch the rocks, and I'm so thankful for that. Not one of them was gone, not one of them was touched. So then shortly thereafter, my wife's visa, her K1 visa was approved. We left Mexico. I should have found the photograph to show you, but again, like I said, I made the overhead projector. Well, I made our suitcases. We boiled all our possessions up, because at that time we didn't own any house, not in Mexico and not here. So we sold and gave away everything, boiled it down to a couple of orange crates like the ones you see in the market. I put the rocks in those, and a few other sentimental and valuable things that we had. And those stayed at my mother-in-law's house, and she was also renting. My wife's dad was still alive at the time, so I should say her parents' house. They had sold their house, moved to the city, and they were living in a little apartment. We left our crates there. They went from house to house for several years. My wife and I packed what we could into 2 cardboard boxes, and I put handles on them with rope. I basically made our suitcases. We came back to the United States. She eventually became a citizen, and here we are. So now, all these years later, I'm slowly bringing the rocks back from Mexico to here, since here I have granite paradise. There's a lot more use for rocks here. A lot more people are into rocks. So I'm bringing these up here, and there's, like I said, a lot of them are still in Mexico. Some of them I thought I brought and I can't find. They're probably still in the garage, but no worries, we'll do another show and tell. So it's a fascinating story behind these, how they've survived all of that. I'm utterly amazed. I don't consider myself a mineral collector now, because it's financially oppressive. I don't know how people buy rocks as far as mineral specimens. I mean, a couple of these here could probably go for, $1,000 or $1,500 now. And I probably paid, like, I think for this big one, I think I paid $60 or something back in the day. Of course, that was, to me, it was a lot of money at the time. But I want to show these to you. I'm going to cut off here. I'll grab the camera and we'll do some close-ups and some close-up photos for the end of the video. Thank you for watching. These are not on display on the sculptures, obviously, because I don't know how they would do with weather, and plus some of them do have some value. So this might be the only time you get to see these, because I don't have any place to show them in the house either. So they're going back in a box. God bless you guys. Thanks for watching. Stick around for the close-ups. This is another of the rarities from Guanajuato. I'll zoom in on it so you can see, but if you can tell, the rust-colored crystals, he told me were calcite. I'm not really sure, because they're so different than the crystals that they're growing over, which I know are calcite. You can see the hexagonal calcite crystals, the white clear ones, and yet there's a gap between each crystal and the rust-colored crystals that grew over them. And I don't know if that means the original calcite crystals slightly dissolved and then grew again. It's hard to know what happened. But this is what I was referring to when I mentioned the rarities, the just bizarre forms of calcite and quartz that you find in the rocks from Guanajuato. I thought I had more of these here. The gentleman in Guanajuato, he sold me a lot of smaller specimens like this of just exotic, rare forms of calcite. His specialty was calcite. And I probably have 8 or 10 specimens of just very different crystal forms. I have crystals that are hollow with another perfect replica of the large crystal inside. Rare things like that. And this is one of them. Like I said, I think the other ones are still in Mexico. Whenever they turn up, I will do another video, because these are really cool. This is quartz crystals encrusted with hematite. And I'm embarrassed to say I don't remember for sure where this is from. I actually believe it's from Red Feather Lakes, Colorado. because I have other pieces from there that I know are from there because I found them. And this I acquired quite a few years ago, and you guys need to label your rocks. It's very bad when you don't remember where they're from. This is probably the nicest one in this batch of rocks. It's amethyst from Guanajuato. It's actually a doubly terminated plate. If you look closely at the few crystals that are showing on the ends, they're actually doubly terminated. White in the middle, purple on the ends. Very interesting. And then it's snowed calcite on top of it. It looks like, because the calcite crystals are all on one side of the amethyst, so they fell like snow. But on the back of this, I don't know if they'll show in the video, if you look closely, and the guy who sold it to me, he hadn't noticed these, and he said it was quite valuable, but there are several very small blue dodecahedral fluorite crystals. I'm trying to move slow enough so you can pick them out. I just remember there being 6 or 7 of them. Anyway, I don't know if you can see them or not. I'll try to get some close-up photos. This is danburite, which according to my research is only found in a couple places in the world. It was named after Danbury, Connecticut, which is the first place it was found. And this is from a mine in the state of San Luis Potosí, Mexico. It was actually given to me by a neighbor of mine when we lived in León. This guy was amazing. He had a trunk full of indulgences from back in the day. He collected old books and stuff like that. He was an amazing guy, but he had this rock and had no need for it, so he said, yeah, you could have it. I affectionately call this ramen noodle rock because it looks like ramen noodles when you take them out of the package. It's actually cave growths from the mines of Tasco, Guerrero. We also just got it a couple years ago. This piece is really unique. It is actually where hexagonal calcite crystals had grown on the inside of a cavity, and then quartz grew over them, and then the calcite dissolved away. You can see the imprints of the 6-sided, I believe it's called dog-tooth spar crystals. This is from Tasco, Guerrero, and we actually just bought this a couple years ago, 2 or 3 years ago. And of course, this is a piece of the urbanite I showed you guys recently in a video when I was in Mexico. This is a piece I brought back a while ago.